episode 11. That's right, it's the penultimate episode of season 3. One more and we're done for this season. Anyway, this week it's just a special episode. B Black and I spend the entire episode reviewing the movie A Time to Kill, the 1996 Matthew McConaughey thriller race movie guy. It's going to be a good one, so sit back, relax, and enjoy us talk about A Time to Kill.
All right. So we're doing this, hey, Gavin?
Yeah, I did an intro. I'll do an intro and post. We're really like, we've been like, it's all, so there's an intro to this.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So so today we're reviewing the movie A Time to Kill.
A Time to Kill.
Time to Kill, yes. And let me read this brief synopsis.
Do it.
It goes, Carl Haley, a.k.a. Samuel L. Jackson, is a heartbroken black father who avenges his daughter's brutal rape by shooting the bigoted, cracker-ass cracker man responsible for the crime as they are on their way to trial.
Ugh.
He turns to Jake Brigand, Matthew McConaughey, an untested lawyer, to defend him. Brigand struggles to believe that he can get Haley acquitted in this small, segregated southern town, given Haley's race and the deliberate nature of his crimes, but Carl has an unshakable faith in him. I love it. It's all right. Okay. Directed by Joel Schumacher.
Joel Schumacher, famous for Batman. He ended the original Batman series. He did Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, where he killed, where he put nipples on the costume.
I love how, that's what you remember him from. I remember him from Phone Booth, 8mm, and 2 episodes of House of Cards.
Okay.
Yeah, that big deal, 7.4 on IMDb, 40 million to make, and came back with 152 million USD.
I also, it's written by John Grisham, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's based on a novel.
Was John Grisham a lawyer, or do you know that?
Nah.
I guess I could look it up, because he writes a lot of law books, like Pelican Brief and The Firm. Remember The Firm? Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah. And needless to say, like we've probably warned you before, spoiler alert galore.
Yeah.
It might help if you've seen the movie before, but if you haven't seen it, expect that we're going to throw in a lot of details in there. All right, let me start. Overall thoughts, Gavin.
We talked about this before. I liked it. John Grisham he's a politician and an attorney. So I liked it, but I'm not sure if I liked it the same way you liked it. I liked it because it was so goddamn over the top and bad. Like it starts out with like a child rape. It's like, okay,
yep.
It has all the tropes that were like, there's a child rape. There's a almost dead dog. There's a beating up of another woman, hilarious. And then I couldn't stop every time the rednecks were on screen. They were I kept saying that. I'm in the Ku Klux Klan. We better get the Ku Klux Klan down here.
You know what I mean? Oh yeah, the southern stereotypes and everything.
It was worse than a stereotype. It was like, if white people ever want to not feel like a racist, this is the movie for it. We better get the Ku Klux Klan down here.
Okay. Looks like we clued into a lot of the same similar scenes.
And everyone was very sweaty in the movie. I love that too.
Oh my God!
A lot of sweat.
Yeah. Dirty stuff. Yeah, that should be Time to Kill with sweat.
Give me the Ku Klux Klan.
I put in, and maybe because I seen it, and fuck it. Okay, I make no apologies, right? I enjoyed the movie. Fuck y'all.
Yeah,
right?
okay, all right.
I know this shit might get me kicked out of our next black people meetings, yeah, but I actually enjoyed the meeting.
Yeah.
And I will not be giving it any middle finger. Shout out to Samuel L. Jackson's performance in this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
But I'll be honest, right? There's only 3 good things about this movie. Mm-hmm. The beginning, the end, and 3 scenes in the middle. And that's what the focus of our scene by scene breakdown is going to be.
Yeah, it's like a longer episode. This is B Black's brainchild. I think it's a great idea. No, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. I think this is an awesome idea. Because this movie, like, you introduced this movie to me, and as I watched it, I loved it. I loved it for all the wrong reasons, for like just how horribly bad it was.
Hey.
But the one thing I genuinely liked in it, in the movie, was the only thing was Samuel Jackson's speech in jail when he says that to me was like, oh, okay, that's on point. I feel like Samuel Jackson improv that. It was just like they're like, hey, say some black shit, Samuel Jackson. And he said, and it was like, yeah, you and I are at war, and we're on other sides, and even that we're at war equates in equality. Anyway, we'll get into the politics after. Sorry, okay.
All that, yeah. So you tapped in on one of it. Okay, so what the reason I said the three reasons that I like the beginning, the end, and the 3C.
Yeah.
The beginning is, and this is the part where we jump into the scene by scene.
Let's do scene by scene.
What I love about it is how they establish the chessboard. This is the adversity our hero has to go up against, right?
Ooh, okay, so what was the scene? I'm fuzzy.
So the movie starts out, and I put in intro to a rape scene, but they want to establish that the attackers, is that the word? The assault, the villains,
the hillbillies.
Hillbillies.
Yeah.
Hey, we should warn, you know what I mean? Like white people listening to this show, there's going to be a lot of usage of the word honkies, crackers, and you know,
and
devils, all kinds of shit.
And there's going to be like mention of rape and stuff. It's not our fault. They are very heavy-handed in this shit.
Yes.
And a possible dog murder.
I think I might have a thought about that. But listen.
The melodrama was on the level of WWF. It was the Undertaker.
Yes.
It was just so fucking melodramatic. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So intro the rape scene. 10-year-old Tanya Haley, played by Raven Larimore, no relations to Larry Wilmore. I just had to say that. All right. So
or Raven Simone.
Or Raven Simone.
Raven Simone.
So we established, the movie, the director established that her attackers are monsters.
Okay, they more than established. Like, so it starts off with them like driving this pickup truck through the black neighborhood, and all the black people are every black person in this movie is so goddamn meek and mild. And sweaty.
They're mimes in that shit. You know what I mean?
And these guys, like typical, and they got their Confederate.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And they have one neat Confederate flag on the back, but they all have mullets and we're the Ku Klux Klan, and they're driving through, and there's hillbilly. Like all they need is like grandma in a rocking chair with a shotgun.
Bro, you know what I mean? So there's a scene where they go into the black corner store,
the black corner store.
Destroy. Basically, you unless you're racist, you hate these two guys.
Yeah. It's impossible not to go, who's a racist in this movie? Who's? I wish they would label them.
Hey, did you recognize the two actors who played no. One guy's name is Billy Ray Cobb.
Okay.
And the actor's name is Nicky Katt.
Okay.
You recognize him from The Guardian, and he plays the hater in Boiler Room.
I never saw those movies.
You haven't seen The Guardian, bro?
No, it's The Guardian.
Nerd license. Oh, Guardian of the Galaxy, sorry.
Oh, Guardian of the Galaxy. I was going to say the Guardian.
The Guardian.
The newspaper?
So you don't recognize him, but when you see Guardian of the Galaxy, you'll recognize him.
I have to say, that was so French. The Guardian. Le Guardian? Le Guardian, Le Galaxies.
Come on, boys. See. All right, yeah. Pete Willard, he's the guy who's so one guy's got the mullet, the other guy's got the longer hair, bushy hair. Pete Willard, you might recognize him from last movie we reviewed there, Green Mile.
Oh, he was in Green Mile.
He plays Percy. Percy Wetmore.
Oh, he played the other racist.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Fuck. Just imagine being typecast as the. Oh, you look like
You know
a
what
racist.
I mean? I'm just saying, homeboy, yo, if I see you in the street, I'm gonna punch you in your face,
Yeah,
man. 'Cause
you really don't
say
want
nigga
black people to like you.
way too many often, you know. I was just acting. Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. I don't give a fuck if this happened 60 years ago. You're still to blame.
You're still the blame.
Yeah.
So, okay, rape scene. So these guys try to. It is fucked up, over the top.
It was a weird rape
they
scene
try to lynch
too,
her.
because they made it like the camera shot of the rape scene that they did on this little girl, which was like you couldn't just beat her up, like even like why does it have to be a little? Why couldn't it be anything else, like any person else? Like like make it the little boy. Why does it have to be rape anyway? Because there's no reason to rape this girl. It's just so over the top.
And then they try to hang her. They couldn't do it.
Yeah, but even in the rape, they make it so you're looking at it from her perspective, like
yes,
so the camera's like down on the ground, and then the hillbilly's like shut up. Check my IMDb page. I do this all the time. And then they try to hang. It's like it's so over. Like you just couldn't. Like this is me pleading for them. Just go to the hanging. Why do we need the rape? Like what is the rape for? Why do we need that?
This is what. Hey, well, okay. So to each his own. You're saying. All I know is I put in the comment section. I said cracker ass peckerwood crackers. And I wish I had more words to use. But you established like, yo, fuck these honkies.
Yeah, man, they're so bad.
Because the girl survives.
Yeah.
You know, because they throw her over a bridge. You understand?
Yeah.
They throw her over a bridge, and then finally they get arrested by Sheriff Ozzy Walls.
Yeah.
The actor's name is
Charles S. Dutton. Rock.
Okay, all right. So you recognize him.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So we introduced the bad guys. Next, we introduced the, is that the word, protagonist?
Yeah.
All right. So Tanya's dad,
So,
Charlie.
sorry, just to go back to, right? ABC. What is it? All cops are bad? So they arrest these guys in the hillbilly bar. And this takes place when, like in the 90s, right? 80s or 90s?
To bring this up. Yeah. Canton, Mississippi. This is in the 60s. Yeah, during segregation.
Oh, so it's in the 60s.
Wait, how does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense because there's dudes with do-rags in this. This is like the 80s.
Does look more like the 80s.
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't. He has an M16 rifle. Nah, it's got to be the 80s. It doesn't. Is it? Because I remember they're driving old cars and shit.
No, I do remember that.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. Maybe they fucked up on the time. They didn't get that kind of.
Well,
but you're right. It does feel like the 80s.
Also, like their outfits, like takes like I don't know.
And they make reference to how the what do you call that? The Klan ain't around. Anyways, yeah. That Klan hasn't been around in a while, but anyway, okay. So
it's in the 1980s.
It is.
It's in the fictional town of Clanton, Mississippi, in the 1980s.
Okay.
Yeah. So like because the sheriff is black, and they go to arrest the two hillbillies, and he's like, "You better get out of here, nigger." You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he just spitting hillbillies.
This is like, I guess, a few years after affirmative action, because they're like, "Fuck a nigger cop."
Yeah, but like even like in the 80s, do you talk like that to like you don't talk like that to cops, and then like he's a sheriff in town, and then he hits them, and it's like, aren't you like spoiling a case, like hitting these people? Like, isn't that police brutality? Like, even me, like after the brutal rape and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, fuck them up, cops.
Hey man, I think you're right. It's a bit cartoonish.
Yeah, it's so cartoonish.
Yeah, you're right, because he shows them that they have evidence. They have the girl's shoe was in the back of the
that's the other thing. Why are you bringing the evidence into the bar?
I don't know how to swear.
I'm like, you know what I thought of was Van Adder in the OJ trial going home with fucking OJ's shoes over the weekend and a vial of his blood. I'm like, why are you bringing, like, this cop is horrible.
Hilarious. But, okay.
We found this shoe at the scene of the crime with his hands all over, like no gloves, just holding on to the shoe. We found this, and apparently my fingerprints are all over it.
You know what I realize? What I've noticed in these movies, right? as soon as you have a character who uses the N-word, does some racist shit, and blah, 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 it's all bets are off.
Yeah.
You're allowed to do anything you want, including fucking up the evidence.
Yeah. It's racism, all of that's gone.
Basically, you're allowed to do whatever. So, so all that logical thinking you brought up, no, Gavin, okay? We're still fantasizing here, right?
And here's my problem with it. I'm already in this shit talking of this movie, but John Grisham was a lawyer. Like this, it was written by a man who is a lawyer. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But the adaptation, bro. That's the adaptation.
Okay. You know all right. I didn't read the book.
The book is probably... right now you're being a book reader. You're like, come on, man. This shit ain't making sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. So Tanya's dad, Carly, is introduced, and he finally... he consults Matthew McConaughey's character, Jake Brigance.
Yeah.
And because apparently Jake Brigance defended his brother in a past case, so he figured he's good white folks. You know what I mean? He's one of the good ones.
He's a good white folk.
So they have he said, hey, look, you think the guys who did this to my daughters are going to go off free? And he probably kind of hints as, yeah, very likely. And he goes, if I was in a jam, you got my back? And he kind of says, yes, I get the feeling, because, it's not really clear, but it kind of, I get it, bro. You know what I mean? If I was in your shoes, I'd be thinking the exact same thing that you're thinking.
Yeah.
Right? And then, what I say? Yeah, Brigade kind of relates. And then finally, and I'm skipping a lot of details, but Carly has an act of vigilante and, busts a cat.
Yeah, with a M16 machine gun. Like a bit overkill. He uses a machine gun to kill two people at close range. Like a machine gun. Where does a poor man get an M16 machine gun?
There you go again, thinking and shit.
I know.
You know what I mean? We're fantasizing.
But they couldn't give him like a handgun? They couldn't give him you couldn't give him just it would do the same damage.
Hey, you know what was missing? Okay, so when he shot the machine gun, he didn't shoot it sideways. You know what I mean? So he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he knew it.
Shout out to the director for not doing shit like that. West side,
I didn't mean. Sorry. We'll the consequences of using a machine gun shows up later in the movie.
His name is Jake Cooper. The actor's name, I forget the name of his character.
Yeah, he's the one.
Chris Cooper. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's escorting the. Chris Cooper's in a lot of great movies too. He's in Adaptation. So he's escorting the two Ku Klux Klan hillbillies.
You know what I mean?
And he gets like, I guess a bullet ricochets off the ground. They say, and it hits him in the knee.
Hits him in the knee.
Yeah, so he goes down too. But it helps with the politics of this movie.
Yes.
Later
well
on.
Said.
Well
said. Okay. So and then finally Sam Jackson turns himself in and recruits McConaughey as his lawyer.
Yeah, but he goes home. I think I was like I looked down for a second and then I'm like they came to arrest him at home. Mm-hmm. How did he get home?
What do you mean? He drove home?
He was in a courthouse with a whole bunch of police officers. He just murdered two people in front of everyone, and then he went home.
The cops didn't catch us?
They show up at his house. They're like, "Well, we got to bring you in."
Oh, you're killing me, man! You're killing me. Okay, now I'm seeing why we didn't enjoy this movie the same way.
Well, I'm like
again with the details, again with the logic thinking,
dude,
man.
I'm not even trying to fuck it up. I'm just like, I looked down for 2 seconds and I'm like, why are they arresting him at home when they were all there?
So does he have his own car? I mean, he must have. Let's pretend his homeboy was out there with the car running, jumps in the car.
And everyone was stunned inside.
He was stunned inside.
And then he did that Batman thing where he called a whole bunch of bats and they showed up. And then he ran out of the building inside some bats. Okay, fine. I'll go with this movie.
You don't know, to add to what you were asking earlier, they were stunned wondering, how did a Negro purchase
a machine gun? That sweaty, balding Negro got a machine gun. And then those bats showed up, and he ran out of the building. We didn't see him.
Boom,
yeah,
boom. You know what I mean? And then, boom. So
I love his wonderful toys.
the cop comes, the sheriff, good, they arrest him, and it's all peaceful, and yeah. So this is part of the beginning. Okay, I'm gonna throw in some more details about this beginning.
Yeah.
Before I get to my favorite 3 scenes.
Okay.
So the rape and the revenge killing get national attention.
Yeah.
Right. And intro Keith Sutherland, who's at the funeral of his brother.
Yeah.
And 2 of his friends are like, yo, I love this line. He goes, 10 years ago, that nigga, I put nigga with an A, but he says with an ER. So that nigga would have been hanging with his balls in his mouth.
Yeah. I guess. And it's a lot of glaring. There's a lot of glaring from these people. And no humor. Not once do they crack a smile.
Okay, what breaks my heart is Keith Sutherland. Come on, man.
Well, his father's in this movie with him too, right?
What's that?
His father's in this movie.
Yo, okay, so you knew that. Okay, yeah. So apparently Keith Sutherland, someone was telling me that. Okay, I was having a discussion about how I think any white actor who plays a racist, it's fucking easy for them. That's like, I don't know what it's like being white, but in my mind,
I'm the same way.
It's all you have to say is nigga, and I hate you. You know what I mean?
To me, it's like it's not even acting. Like it's just.
You know what I mean?
It's like it's actually a PA day. It's a call in to work sick day for them. It's just like, oh, I got to be erased. Okay, cool.
Hey. Okay, so you see Game of Thrones. I'm not spoiling it, whatever, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about Game of Thrones, but that guy, the character who played Joffrey.
Yeah.
Now, he made it believable. I hated his character,
yeah,
and
but
that shows how good of an actor he is.
In that case, that actor like quit acting, and he became like almost an activist and went to school. He actually is a smart kid. That guy,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm saying, you think Keith Sutherland had to practice that scene, or
No. I think it was just like lines. Well, he just threw his script in a fire and went in. He knew exactly what to say.
He knew exactly what to say. Yeah. All right, so skip to now. I gotta send to Kevin Spacey. It helps that Kevin Spacey is not liked right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's smarmy.
As him. So now he plays, I forget, the district attorney. His name is Rufus something.
He plays every character he ever plays. Smarmy Southern guy.
Exactly, right?
He's like, hello there.
Yo.
How are you? This lawyer.
That's him, all right.
This lawyer doesn't stand a chance in the court.
They established that he's the Goliath of all lawyers.
Yeah.
And I like his intro line. He goes, when he's talking to McConaughey, it goes, you plead guilty today, I'll ask for life. Otherwise, he dies. Otherwise he dies. And I like the idea that the life of this black man is in the hand of these 2 white men.
These 2 white people. Which, I mean, that's realistic.
I know.
In the court system, that's very realistic.
It just, yeah. So they have the preliminary hearing. McConaughey gets his ass served.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to get a change of venue.
Yeah, because he knows how racist it is.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And that pisses off the judge. How dare you try to say that a nigger can't get a fair trial?
I declare, Matthew McConaughey, this is the courtroom where we will be holding this trial. Hey, here's and then Sandra Bullock shows up in the movie.
Sandra Bullock shows up,
and she plays like a quasi love interest. She's a love interest, but she's not a love interest.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll bring that up. So, and the usual Hollywood, because she shows her skill, and McConaughey's character's like, I don't need you. I can do this by myself. And
he's like, all right.
All right, you know what I mean?
I don't need your help.
And this is the part where the in between of them. This is where we're in the bulk of the movie. I won't go through it because we'll be here all day. But the reason why this movie is like 3 hours long or 2 hours long is the part in between. So you got Klan intimidation. The Klan leader died. Cross burning.
Oh, you know what the Klan reminds me of in this movie for most of it? Wile E. Coyote, because they keep trying to do shit to everyone and then they fail. They always fuck up, and they always it's very Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner stuff.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And then
is a bit clownish.
Also, what I found hilarious was the The Klan use the word the Klan a lot. Like, do they do that? Does it? It's like being on a. It's like do the Blue Jays use the name Blue Jays all the? Hey, so we're playing for the Blue Jays, right? We're all playing for the Blue Jays. Like, hey,
right.
We are the Klan. If you want to be part of the Klan, like us, the Klan.
There you go again, thinking. You know what I mean?
There's a scene I think we kind of missed when he finally lets Sandra Bullock into to work with him.
Yeah.
So there's a scene where they go to a black restaurant.
No, I got this. Okay, well,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Because that wasn't one of my three scenes, but I'll get to that. So I established that the filler of the movie is where am I? Hold on a second. Okay, so Klan intimidation. He attacked his secretary and his her husband gets a heart attack in the process,
and all of them blame him for the Klan doing stuff.
I'm because now before I get to the end, they establish how so Brigand's family's house gets cross-burned. Then they burn his house. His family ends up leaving, and his wife is not happy.
He almost loses his dog.
Okay, hold on a second.
All right, sorry.
The wife is like, yo, you're just doing this for ego. You're trying to be a celebrity and shit like that.
Yeah.
You got protests, black and white. They're selling T-shirts. One T-shirt says "Free Haley." The other one says "Fry Haley." What's that word? And then you got your usual lawyer tactics. And as McConaughey's character realizes that, I need all the help I could get, like you were saying, he finally recruits Sandra Bullock.
In the scene when you're talking about the riot, that scene, are you talking about that?
I jumped over the rights, but yeah. I said
okay, so there's an important thing in that riot that fucks up this movie. So in the riot scene is a whole bunch of Klan members show up and they start fighting the black people, right? That's the scene we're talking about, right?
No. Well, let me put it this way. I talk about the filler, and then I'm gonna just list out the
go ahead.
My three favorite scenes. But yours is what? There's something.
No, I'm just in the scene is like, isn't that the scene? You're talking about the scene where they're having a protest outside of the court. That
was at the beginning. Yeah,
and the Klan shows up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Klan shows up. And they start fighting with people. Like, there's a physical fight. And one of the Klan members is lit on fire by a black kid on top of a building with a Molotov cocktail. The purple one's lit on fire. And, he does that whole Hollywood walking. So then I guess Charles S. Dutton character gets attacked by one of the Klan. And, again, the white savior, what's his name? Matthew McConaughey jumps in.
Matthew McConaughey, yes.
So Matthew McConaughey jumps in and saves him and then gets stabbed in the process in his leg. So that scene, we go from that scene to the next scene where, and you keep in mind, this is the tone of the movie. So you keep in mind, we just had a riot where a man burnt to death.
Yeah.
He burnt to death. And then we go
He's a Klansman.
Yeah, hang on. We go to the next scene. And Sandra Bullock is asking Matthew McConaughey to take off his pants so she can tend to his wound. And he's like, oh, I don't have any underwear. And she's like, and it's this romantic tension. I'm like, how the fuck did you just go from a fucking race riot to this fucking romantic, will they, won't they? Will they, won't they? Like, it's so fucking stupid.
I'm laughing because I think you paused that part of the movie to message me to say, yo, I don't know about this motherfucking movie.
It's like,
we went from a race riot to this shit.
To Sam and Diane, this is Cheers.
Hilarious. And the thing is, you didn't get to my three favorite scenes.
Okay.
Because that's before, but that's what the because I was waiting for you to get to those scenes and see how you react to that.
Okay. Do you want to do your three favorite scenes and then I do mine?
Sure.
Okay, so you do yours and you go through the movie and then that way I don't I won't hold it up because I keep holding it up. So you go ahead and yeah.
Right. So the 3-1 is Cutting Loose with Chris Cooper.
Describe the movie. Like, describe the movie, and then we'll say our three favorite scenes. Describe what you want to do. Do your thing, and then we'll go through our three favorite scenes.
No, that's exactly it.
Okay.
So, before I get to the what do you call it? The final part or the jail scene with The jail scene with
Sam Jackson
and McConaughey, where he says what he needed to hear.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Exactly. So before I got to that, I put him the Cut Him Loose. That's the one with Chris Cooper, and that's the guy. So they, I don't know if that's a plot twist, but essentially what they establish is the security guard, the police officer who was the casualty to Samuel Jackson's character's revenge scene, the one who caught it in the knee.
Yeah.
Well, at first he's like, I'm fucked up. I won't be able to work. You feel sorry for the guy. And then Samuel Jackson asked McConaughey and said, hey, ask him if he thinks I should go to jail.
Well, Sam, there's a scene before where he goes and he visits him in the hospital and he apologizes and he says how they grew up together and everything.
I'm skipping those details. It's you know what I mean? Think of this shit is like the Bible, right?
Yeah.
This is my interpretation of Jesus.
Go ahead. Sorry, you hit your details.
Right. So, and I just like cut him loose. But essentially he's saying, yeah, man, if I was in his shoe, that shit touched my heart, man. Seeing a white man identify with a black man's pain. He said, yes, if I was in his shoe, I would have bust a cap in those two guys myself.
Yeah, see, this is the part of the movie I had problems. But go ahead, sorry.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think it's because I grew up in a church upbringing with fairy tales and shit like that, and you probably grew up. Fuck it. There ain't no Santa Claus, boy.
Yes, I am the jaded one in this podcast. It's true.
No, I don't mean jaded.
I'm not denying it. But yes, you still have magic in your heart.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's what it is. That's the reason what's caused me to like this movie. Right?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Second one, and this one I didn't like. Mixed feelings, right? Mm-hmm. When they vilified the NAACP.
Yes. Oh, fuck yeah.
So the NAACP jumps in. They say, hey, look. We're going to hook you up with our own lawyers because this is going to be a victory for all of us.
Yeah.
NAACP gets to say that, hey, look how we saved this black man versus this racist white Mississippi shit.
It was very unnecessary.
Well, but you needed to have that scene so you could have that duo tag team between McConaughey and Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
Essentially, they play him and they end up getting funding for McConaughey's character because they established this white man is doing this shit out of the goodness of his heart because Samuel Jackson is broke, lost his job, and so what was I saying? So the NAACP scene, and the last one is the famous. Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope he burn in hell.
Yeah,
they burn in hell.
Yeah.
So.
Those are your favorite. And then at the end, he does a speech about, because and then after that, Samuel Jackson has to do the speech about, hey, law and the truth, and you're on the other side.
Okay. Yeah. So let's back up. So, okay, maybe I'll make this my fourth favorite scene before the end.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, so McConaughey's character at this point is at his rope.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's rocky against his rope. He's pretty much telling Samuel Jackson comes to jail. Oh, well, before that, his wife comes back and finally understands why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
So that gives so he goes to visit Samuel Jackson in jail and trying to tell him, yo, dude, I'm fucked. Life in prison ain't that bad. You know what I mean? Pretty much he's starting to say shit like, it's not about winning or losing. It's about, my point is.
This is what Matthew McConaughey is saying.
McConaughey's character is at the end of his rope.
Yeah.
He doesn't think
he's going to lose. Yeah.
Right. And the way I describe it, Samuel Jackson gives him this kind of speech, like Rodimus Prime in Transformer when he gets the Matrix.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So essentially, Samuel Jackson, you need to tap into your inner honkiness to talk to this jury.
It was the most. It was like, oh yeah, I need your whiteness to talk to these people.
I
need you to use your whiteness to deal with these, to relate to these people because they don't see me as human.
Exactly. That's another scene. So in addition to, yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
Yeah.
That scene, and it's a reality, because I'll be honest, man. Yeah, dear white people, we kind of need you to figure out how to talk to your racist relatives.
It's the wokest shit in the movie. Like, that's the wokest shit in the movie.
Okay, all right, we do have it. That's one of the scenes I wanted you to see before you got stuck on the, what the fuck, a love interest after a race riot?
But that scene doesn't, it doesn't make sense in the movie.
It doesn't make,
I'll explain when I go through my...
We'll keep going.
Okay, I'll explain.
So finally, we're finally at the last part of the court case where they have the, what do you call that thing? The closing argument.
Yeah, closing arguments, and
Kevin Spacey kills it with, kill that nigga. You know what I mean?
You need to kill that man.
Rule of law, blah, blah, blah. Sure, his feelings are hurt, but this is a civilized society. We don't take matters into our own hands.
Absolutely. If I
won't lie, bro. I'm like, yo, let's cut the roll credit. There's no way this black guy is getting away with murder.
It's done.
McConaughey jumps in, man.
It's like,
gets in the past, speaks from the heart.
Yes.
Like they always do in the movie. Speaks like, I had some shit prepared, but I'm just going to speak. I'm just going to wing it.
Yeah. I had some,
But he describes the crime scene.
Yes.
What happens to Tanya Haley, detail by detail. You're like feeling uncomfortable and shit. I'm like, yo, we don't need to remind us. But then he ends the whole thing, okay? You see her now? You see her bleeding? You see her suffering, calling out for her daddy? Okay, now pretend that she's white.
Shoe drop.
Yo, tears are running down your eyes at this point. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, oh, shit.
And it's that ugly cry, too. It's they went for ugly cry. They wanted the audience to be ugly crying the whole goddamn time.
Yes, and I won't lie, that motherfucker got me too, man.
Yeah, I'll ruin it for you. Don't worry. I'm gonna ruin it for you.
You're gonna ruin it?
I'm gonna take the magic right out of that.
I love this podcast. All right. And then finally, I think that's got to be the peak of the movie. Finally, everything's this kid opens, he's innocent. Runs out the courthouse door, opens the door. He's innocent. Everyone celebrates. The sheriff finally deals with the Judas that he has in his crew.
Yes.
Tells him, "You get over there."
Oh yeah, it's totally like Rudy. It's You get over there with them. They're arresting the rednecks. And then the guy, the cop that was like the backstabbing the other cops, who was actually a real racist. It's only one cop. It's only one cop.
Only one cop.
It's a bad apple. He shoves the bad apple over and is like, "You get in there too, because you under arrest." Charles S. Dutton. I'm Rock.
and finally, the movie ends. I love this part, right?
Yeah.
With these white folks invited to their cookout.
Yeah. Well, in that scene that we like, Matthew McConaughey says to Samuel Jackson that we're friends. He's like, "We're not friends. Your daughter doesn't play with my daughter." But so this sets up this last scene.
He sets up this last scene.
We don't hang out. Our daughters don't play together. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So they, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Another part that I love is when the NAACP scene where McConaughey says, "Hey, we make a good team," and Samuel L. Jackson reminds him, "We're not a team.
Yeah, we're not.
I'm in here.
Yeah,
you're out there." I fucking love that reminder.
Yeah.
But yes, in the end, McConaughey realized that, hey, you know what?
He shows up
with
his white wife and his white daughter, and they go, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, they're eating with us."
You know what I mean?
Oh my god, but we're sweaty black people.
You know what I mean? You people are all right. But you know what? The only joke punchline that I have about the last scene is when the wife brings, "I got peach cobbler." That shit would have been funny if she had potato salad.
Yeah.
Because the rumor or the joke is white people make bad potato salad.
Yeah. They probably did, and they were like, don't bring the.
Let's go with peach cobbler. You know what
I mean? Can I jump into my shit now?
I'm done. This is the scene.
That was the last scene. That was
the last.
Okay, so
bang.
So this is why I mentioned that John Grisham is a lawyer, because there's the political aspect of all of this. When like John Grisham is a politician and a lawyer, and in a lot of the movies that were adapted from his novel, they push this purity of law and this because the character Matthew McConaughey, and same with Donald Sutherland, and it's all about the purity of law and the righteousness and being honest and truthful and standing up and blah blah blah. And his his mentor got banned from practicing law because he protested, but they need people like him in the courtrooms, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a scene in it when him and Sandra Bullock, they're deciding to work together, and they're talking about their politics. and Sandra Bullock is from the North, and she's against the death penalty. And this case is a death penalty case.
Yep,
and he's and Matthew McConaughey's like, I'm a liberal, but I'm for the death penalty. I think it's good and blah 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 blah. And he goes on, and then Sandra Bullock's like, I can't work with you, and she storms out. Yeah, and then he walks down the street and he catches up to her, and she's like sitting in the corner, and she's like, she's like, oh, I guess that's bad for a job interview. Like, it basically they made her like an emotional woman.
Oh,
they made her like she doesn't have logical thoughts. She's just very emotional. And then Matthew McConaughey's like, that's okay. I need that kind of passion on my team. But that whole but you have to remember that whole his whole perspective about the death penalty in that scene. He's for the death penalty. He's for it. Yep. So this is my problem with this whole court thing, because this is a movie about it. Throughout the whole movie, you see the jurors going, yeah, we just hang that nigga. Like the whole movie, the jurors like, we gotta hang this nigga. We gotta hang this nigga. Yeah. Get rid of this nigga. White guy. Yeah, and it's always this like, oh my god. So it's all stacked against them. So they go to they have that speech in the thing where he's like, basically, you're a white guy. You got to talk to them. Yeah. And then he goes into a courtroom and he does a speech. Basically, the movie is, hey, we're all the same, and we're united under the fact that if your child was raped, you would. I'm human, because if we all had children that were raped, we're all equal. We all would react the same, right? Because based on child rape, black and white people are the same based on child rape. So, so he has to convince the jury to look at him as a human, like them. As a human being. Now go back to the fucking death penalty, where he thinks it's a fair thing to have a death penalty, but he's also in court arguing against white people's bias in the court system.
Hold on, okay, keep going.
So he's saying, he's saying...
No, it's slowly building it, right.
What he's saying is, I need you to judge this person fairly by looking at him as yourself, because you are biased. He's saying the court system is inherently racist. Right. But he's also for the death penalty?
But he's also for the death penalty.
How can you be for the death penalty knowing that the system that punishes people with the death penalty is racist? Like, how can you...
You're putting out an inconsistency in the character?
It's not even... It's inconsistency in John Grisham. It's inconsistency in the whole movie. It's like, you can't... Oh, man. You can't... And the whole child rape, they're human like us, because if your child was raped, you would react. That's garbage. That is the worst garbage. Like, you can't see me as a human? Like to sit there and argue in this... judge court movie that like, oh, I'm for the death penalty, or the court system is fair, and they don't even get into it. The police system, the court system, everything's fair. There's no bias in it. But I got to convince these people to look at this man as a human. It's mixed messages.
I love this. Okay, I love this conversation. Okay, you're talking to a dude, all right, who grew up being told about a story about, God asking some dude to take his son to the top of the mountain to kill him, you know what I mean? And then when he goes to kill him, God shows up, hey, psych, I was just kidding, man, just kidding, don't do it.
No.
You know what I mean? My point is...
It's a prank show.
I'm used to prank show. I'm used to hearing bullshit from tolerating bullshit from the narrator, right?
Yeah.
All right. If that's what you want me to believe, that's what you believe. So I guess the idea that McConaughey's character, he still has those old Southern beliefs. You know what I mean? Death penalty. I bet he's against abortion.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? Claim denier and shit like that.
I could understand if he was like. I can understand if the movie went along with, like, yes, he believes in the death penalty, and then we get to the point where he's like, oh, I have to convince these people. But throughout the whole movie, he knows they're all racist. Even like, he's like, I gotta get this case done in a less racist town.
Right.
How do you
gonna hang my guy? Yeah,
that's a cognitive dissonance. Like, how do you resolve that where you're like, yeah, I'm for the death penalty because I think when the right people are, and even their talk about death penalty, they don't talk about the racial bias in it. They talk about, have you ever seen a man die before? And it's like, okay, wait a second. You're not going to convince someone who's for the death penalty to go see a man die, and that's going to change their mind.
It's gonna right.
If he is for the letter of the law and the honesty of law and how amazing their court systems are and how honest and fair and what a meritocracy it is, but at the same time, and you're basing your opinions about the death penalty based on the meritocracy of the judicial system, but at the same time don't want to argue the case in this court because they're too racist. Like, what the fuck? How do you resolve that in your goddamn head? It's like the fucking writers just like, whatever, just throw it out there.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. That's exactly it. Yo, man, it's like reading a story about a Superman. All right, I guess this person can fly.
Yeah, it doesn't.
The physics makes no sense, but
they see the problem is they put the death penalty talk in there because they want to set up a Sam Diane dynamic between. They want to set up these two are totally different, but
they're opposites. Yeah,
but they don't even fuck. They don't even have sex. They don't do anything. His wife comes back. Man.
His wife comes back.
Yeah.
There was a part where at the end he goes, I bet you want to kiss me when she's in the hospital.
Yeah, he's
I didn't mention that part, how she got kidnapped by
the
Klan.
Again, another trope where she gets kidnapped by the Klan and they're like, we go beat you because you defend, you a nigga lover. That was the other thing. Like the wife is like mad at Matthew, but every white person's mad at Matthew McConaughey. But it's not in a way where it's like, oh, these white people are problematic. It's in a way where you have to, like, there's this, it's like they need an other side to racism. Like the black people have they're just fucking it's a black story. A black kid gets raped, but you don't hear anything about the dog has more character than most of the black people.
Yo, that's what kills me about this. Okay, another thing you did too is when you messaged me, you're in the middle of the movie, and you were also at the part of, yo, that motherfucker killed his dog.
Yeah, I'm like, why would you kill this dog?
Keep watching. I was like, keep watching. Yeah, that was the other part that reaffirmed his faith.
So it was, so everyone's mad at him. The receptionist one where they start to, and that was a weird one when they talk about her having sex or having an affair
with the mentor.
She's this old woman, and they're like, that's weird. And then so they're like, everyone's like mad at him. All the white people in his life are mad at him for taking this case. Because they're dealing with racism from other people. They're like, oh, fucking the Klan. The Klan did this.
I loved all that, man. You know, the white people are like, hey, that ain't our problem.
They're calling your daughter a nigger lover. It's like, well,
yo, I know, right?
But how do you stay with a woman like how do you redeem a woman like that by her coming back and going in the middle of the night and going, I realized that you weren't being egotistical. It's like, shut the fuck. And it wasn't.
I saw it. The wife is like, stand by her man.
Okay, here's the problem. It's like she didn't learn anything. She just complained about how her biggest problem is her daughter's being called a nigger lover. And then she comes back and she's like, they don't address any of the racism. It's a movie about racism, but they don't address the racism. They make it like it's an individual thing. And she comes back and she's like, oh, I thought you were just being egotistical. But now I understand. And I understand that you thought it was your daughter. If they raped your daughter, that's how
done the same thing.
You're human. Because you would react the same way if they raped your kid. Is that is that what it takes for you to see me as a human? That we need children raped?
Dude, but you see, you're looking at the movie through the people it wasn't intended for. You got to look at it as a white person, right? Because there's white people who are watching this, and I relate to the wife. You know what I mean? I can see myself.
Oh, fuck no. Fuck no, 2019, you leave that woman. You leave her. You go, oh, wait a second. You're worried more about being called. It's like, you know what it reminds me of? Remember when, on our Facebook page when we posted that article about the cop getting 20 years for murdering an unarmed black man?
Yeah.
And there was like 3 white dudes who were mad that they called the cop white. It's like that. Yeah. It's that.
You see it that way?
Yeah, it's exactly like that. It's like They called your daughter a nigger lover. Yeah, his daughter was raped and hung.
Okay, here, okay, so was it,
maybe she needs some
right
adversity based on her race, just a little bit.
Hold on, this part you might edit out. 48. You still want to go? We're at the 48 mark.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's wrap it up. Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Okay, all right. Okay, so this is the separation. I saw this movie through white people lenses.
You have to.
Oh no, you have to for it to make sense. You know what I mean? But I like how you leave the girl. I mean, sure, if that was my girl, that's not a discussion. What the fuck you mean? Why am I defending this thing? You better recognize, lady. But as a white person, the standards are lowered. Yeah, I get it that it took her a while to see this. But here's the last point I want to make about this movie, right? And then I realized, Gavin, if you have $40 million in your pocket right now, I say we invest it in a movie about a good white person. Yeah. Because I'm realizing there's a market for niggas, right? There's a market for niggas, black people acting stupidly, and there's a market for good white people. Yeah, good white. And that's what this movie is all about. McConaughey is Trudeau, man. I bet Trudeau watches this movie and sees himself as against all odds. Everyone hates me, but in the end, I'm getting the white people to see. Now imagine that she's white. Oh shit!
This movie also is a bad movie. It's a bad movie. It's like there's a scene in it where the dude walks out, like the dude, they come into a bar where the Klan clubhouse, I guess, and they've pinned up a little flag that says Klan on it. It's like this white little flag, and he comes out like it's like, a bodega. Like he comes. Like it just needs to be beaded. It would be perfect. He comes. He's like, "What did y'all get?" It's just like, oh fuck this movie. It's hilarious. If you want a good laugh, watch this movie.
You realize you're Elaine talking about how you hated the English Patient.
Is that movie that good for me? Is this movie?
You know what? Okay, I'm gonna ask to the listeners, right? Yeah. If you're familiar with the movie, did you like the movie when you first saw it, right? Yeah. Because I want to know, is B Black the only? That's gonna be fucked up if all our white listeners say, "No, I hated the movie too," because I'm gonna feel like shit.
I think with the movie is you have a nostalgia with it. I think if I saw it in the 90s, I probably would like it. If I saw it in the 90s, I would probably like it. But I this is the first time I saw it, and I think if you. I think the only way to like it is through nostalgia. Because if you look at it, it's very fucking dated. It is a very dated look at race relations in the South, and it's just like, oh Jesus Christ! It's like they're really pushing Matthew McConaughey, and you can see them pushing their leads. Like they need Sandra Bullock to do something, but she needs a serious role, and they're like, oh, this might be Oscar bait, and the role was a smaller role because who gives a it really, there's no need for Sandra Bullock's character in this movie. You could have had somebody else play do her part.
She's hot.
Yeah, that's it. She's hot. That is it. That is all. I see what you're saying. That's all she's there for. She's not there for anything else.
Nah, because you got to have the good white man and the good white woman.
Yeah, I know, but you could.
That shit sells, bro. That shit sells, man. I'm telling you, we invest in that shit. But except you're not talking to the director because you're gonna do shit like, "Hey, that's not gonna make any sense if that happens."
But they could.
We got to get a white director. That's what I'm saying.
But they had what's her name? His wife. What's her name? What's that woman's name? Ashley Judd. She could have. She could have been the good white woman.
I mean.
Yeah, I know. You can't defend this movie.
You know what I mean?
You're defending this movie like fucking.
You know what I mean?
Like
it's a Bible.
Kevin Spacey in this movie.
Yo,
you're as good as that. Nah.
You know what I mean? I'm about to say, but who's gonna take care of the kid? Oh, yeah. B Black, you ain't shit. Oh, you ain't shit.
All right, I think we trashed the shit out of this one.
How many middle fingers you give?
You know what? I probably give it half of one because I would watch it again because it was like I found myself just laughing so hard at moments. Like I was just like, this is too funny. This is too funny.
I'm going to ask the listeners to share your thoughts about this movie. What did you think?
Yeah, what did you think about this movie?
Did you like it? Did you hate it?
Do you agree with it? Because B Black liked it. B Black.
Is Gavin tripping or is B Black, fuck needs to remember there is no Santa Claus?
Well, B Black is the Bible and I'm and I'm going to hell. So it's That's basically what it is, I think.
That's pretty much it. Yo, this shit was David and Goliath for me.
I
man.
know, I respect your opinion because you could see what's shitty about it. You see it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But you also go, hey, I'm just having a good time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Whereas me, I'm like, fuck this motherfucker. I'm sitting in my straw chair with my Pan-African flag eating a bean pie.
You know what I mean?
Just like, I don't think so.
I only confess this kind of shit on this podcast, but not in the barbershop.
No, you can't. They kill you. I think in the 90s, I think black people would like the movie too.
You're right.
I think it's a movie of its time. I hate watching meek black people too. It's like,
I agree. Most definitely.
What do we do? It's just like, oh fuck! Why is everyone such rice paper in this movie? Just like ready to blow over. All right,
man.
That's it. This is episode 11. Okay.
Nice.